Hi everybody, welcome back to POD Philippines On Demand. So I'm standing in SM Mall Ecoland and I'm talking to a Filipino about the GoPro Hero 7 Black action camera. Now, what does this video have to do about the Philippines? Absolutely nothing, other than the fact that I was talking to a man about the camera and that I use and had purchased the camera here in the Philippines. I figured after about 1 year of using this camera, I thought maybe I would share my likes and dislikes with you. Is it worth your 400 USD? Well, you'll find out the answer to that if you stay till the conclusion of the video. I would like for you viewers to keep in mind that this is not a tutorial or a how-to video on the GPH7. So why do people go out and spend their hard-earned money on an action camera like this? This camera is second to nothing in terms of hyper smooth. It's just an absolutely wonderful working camera for that. It can take a person like me who is not a professional in videography or photography and make you somewhat semi-pro within 10 minutes, and it's all because of the camera. It's a great underwater action camera. Some of the views underwater are just absolutely amazing. This camera is not called an action camera for nothing. It's great. Jet skiing, water skiing, auto races, horse races, snow skiing, any type of extreme sports event. It captures that fast action very brilliantly. That's what this camera is made for. But before I get into, do I think this camera is worth 400 USD, let me go through some of the likes and dislikes about the camera. Let's start out with the dislikes. One of the first things that's going to jump out at you is the battery life. The battery life is very poor. You're going to want to buy additional batteries along with a charger. It also comes with an extra, cable cord. You'll end up with two because one comes with the camera in the packaging. My other piece of advice would be to shoot footage that you only need. In other words, shoot short bursts. Get in, get out. Capture the footage you need and then shut your camera off. The other thing that I don't like about this camera is because of the small battery life, the camera will heat up real fast. And when it does that, the camera will shut off automatically. It does freeze up, not all the time when switching between video mode and video and camera. Sometimes I've noticed that the camera will freeze up when switching between the two functions. Now that could be a big problem underwater because you might have to resurface and take out your battery. That's one way to reset this after it freezes up. And you can go out and buy yourself, never use this submerged real deep in water. You can go, maybe like 10, 12 feet underwater without the casing, but make sure your compartment doors on the camera is closed. If this thing is opened or cracked or even closed and you got a piece of dust or dirt in there, just enough where water can get in there, obviously you're going to fry your camera. Always use this. The nice thing about this without the case is if you're shooting on a rainy day walking about, yeah, no problem. It's not going to hurt your camera. But going, deep diving or anything, obviously you're going to want to use this bad boy. Now, as far as the camera freezing up, you might have to surface, but you can try this to reset your camera. You just hold in the power button and the record or capture button at the very same time. Hold it for a few seconds and that should reset your camera. If it doesn't, then yeah, you're going to have to resurface and then take your battery out. The other cause for freezing is that you could have a bad SD card in your camera. So if that's the case, you're going to want to get to it, you have to open the battery compartment, take your battery out, and here you can see the SD card, right there. But what I recommend that you do is invest in a top-of-the-line SD card, and that should help prevent freezing problems. When you load your videos or your photos that you captured on your GoPro and you load it to your laptop or whatever device that you decide to load it to, go in and let me turn this bad boy back on. You can go back in, swipe down, go to preferences, and scroll all the way down and reset. By reformatting your SD card, that will help alleviate your camera freezing up. GoPro cameras are not made for low light. May it be natural low light in your house or going outside at night, yeah, you're going to have a problem with that. And if you're thinking, well, I can correct that in a video editor, you're going to be able to make some adjustments in your video editor, but I've had to scrap a lot of videos. I have my basic settings at 100 minimum ISO and 200 ISO max. Now, if you're shooting in a low light area, if you're in the house or outside, you're going to want to increase your ISO minimum and your ISO max. You're probably going to want to bring them up to about 1600. But I never go to 3200 because then your video looks real grainy when you get it in the video editor. But the other thing is just don't shoot at night. Now, here's an example. If I go outside my house here at night where there's no lights, it's real dark, there's nothing that's going to help it. Nothing. I can set these settings all I want, go into my editor, it's not going to help it. But if you're at, like, say, here in Davao, we have what you call a ROAS night market, and there's a lot of ample lighting there at night, then yeah, this camera will function very well with a lot of lights around at night. So just make sure you're in a lighted area at night, then you're good to go. You'll be able to save a lot of your footage. I had mentioned about shooting photos versus video at times, depending what you want to shoot at the time. You can see here by the icon on the camera that I put it in camera mode. Now, the thing I don't like about this GoPro camera, I don't know if the other ones do it, but this is gonna, sometimes I get a lot of random photo shots. It'll just start shooting randomly. And then when I load my videos to my laptop, then I notice that I could easily have 90 of the same photos. And that obviously takes up a lot of space on the SD card. So that's a problem. I don't really like using the camera feature on this GoPro. I'm told that it does take really nice images, but I prefer using my Huawei Nova 2i for taking my photos. I just get better clarity with my mobile device. The voice command, I got kind of a love-hate relationship going on right now with the voice command. This being an action camera, it suggests a lot of times you're going to be hands-free. So then, you know, if you got it set on and you want your hands free because you're taking part in some type of event, some type of sporting action, whatever the case may be, you need to be hands free and you need to record. So you just say, GoPro, record. GoPro, stop recording. GoPro, turn off. See, that's one of the things that I love about the camera. One of the things, though, that I don't like about the voice command with the GoPro cameras is that I've noticed a lot of time when I have the voice command on and I'm out shooting and there's a lot of people talking around me, it's picking up a false command from the crowd. And another thing is, I even noticed, and I don't know why it does it. I have no, reasonable explanation whatsoever. But sometimes even the traffic noise will shut my camera off. Yeah, you can see the problem when you're in the middle of a shoot. You don't want your camera being shut off automatically on you. So a lot of times, that's why I go over here, voice command, you just hit it, you can turn it on, you can turn it off. I always operate with it off unless I need it on, and then when I'm done with the need of that feature, then I go back and automatically shut it off. The other thing I'm frustrated with this camera is the lock screen function, which is right here. Matter of fact, I'm so frustrated with it and irritated by it, I'm not even going to hit it to turn it on to show you. That's how much I dislike it. It's off all the time. Let's say, for example, you're underwater. You can't swipe it underwater very well. You're going to be sitting there swiping and swiping and swiping because the cover's wet, your fingers are wet, and it's just kind of like sliding across it, and it's real frustrating. I think that lock screen feature for me is a waste of time. You know what it basically boils down to? Your individual likes and dislikes about anything. We can have a like and dislike about any type of item. So it's a matter of what you like and dislike. And that's why at the onset of this video, I said this is not a tutorial. I'm using my phone right now, my Nova 2i, Huawei Nova 2i, to record this. So I can't show you, but one of the things that I do like is that I can connect this to my mobile device by using the Gopro app. You load the Gopro app onto your camera and you can utilize that. Now, as a lot of the things can be fixed, some of the technical issues, with the freezing or what have you, you can utilize this GoPro app in conjunction with your mobile device by going in there and always making sure that your GoPro camera, regardless of what number it is updated. Use the updated firmware for your camera, and that will fix a lot of your problems. It does have improved audio. There's a mic down here. There is a mic up on top, a little mic hole. And there's a mic hole here on the side as well. If you're not a professional and you don't need the camera, the video, or the audio for like professional, real professional usage, then yeah, you can get away with this without using an external microphone that plugs into the camera. They also make new housing components that have a built-in slot on top where you can actually slide a mic into it, and then there's an opening box on the bottom where you slide what I believe to be the power pack under the camera. And then this camera, because of the extension of the power pack underneath, actually raises your camera up a little bit higher. The other thing I do like about this camera is it has a replaceable lens. If this is scratched or you do any type of damage to your lens, you can take this off. I'm not going to take it off, but what you do is you pull out. You can see here there's a separation like this all the way around it, and you just pull out on this outer part and you turn counterclockwise and the lens will pop off. Now you must know that, because if you get a GoPro Hero 7 Black, you're going to want to practice that, because at first this is still relatively new, so it's still kind of rough going trying to get the lens off. I don't want to fight with it. In order to use your underwater case, you're going to have to take the lens off to fit into your case. In addition, you're going to have to take the side compartment door off, and that just snaps off. So if you're playing with your camera and that door accidentally comes off, don't freak out. It's made to come off. So this door has to come off, as well as the lens to fit inside the underwater casing. On the Hero 8, the lens does not come off. It's not replaceable. If you damage the lens and you contact GoPro, GoPro is not going to replace the lens. Why is that? Because GoPro is going to tell you that it's just a lot easier, more cost effective to them to replace the entire camera than trying to replace the lens. The lens on the 8 is actually built in to the body of the camera. So if you have a warranty on that, yeah, then you can get a brand new camera, but if your warranty is expired, yeah, you're stuck with a real nice, beautiful paperweight, a very expensive paperweight. The other thing that I really love about this camera, I like the Pro Tune function. You can see here, Pro Tune. I have it on, and you're going to want to leave it on as well. By having the Pro Tune turn on activated, it gives you more control over the settings of your camera, whereas opposed to if you have it off, you're minimized as to what you can shoot in. Let's say you want to shoot 4K. There. Can you read that? Stabilization not supported in 4K. Okay, that's not true. It is. If that comes up, just hit the arrow key, back out of it, go back in. See? Hyper smooth stabilization. It's a glitch in the camera. I always shoot in 1080. Normally I shoot 1080 and then 60 frames per second and in linear. So 1080 60 L. But I've learned some painful lessons when shooting in 60 frames per second. Is if you're going to conduct an interview sitting across the table talking to someone, or basically just talking to your viewer by looking straight into the camera, you're not going to want to shoot in 60 FPS. Why? Because it'll look like this. Before jumping into my top 10 list of what Filipinos say to foreigners, keep in mind I listed mine in order in which are based upon my own experiences. That's 60 FPS. The sound of your voice does not match your mouth movements, as you can see in that video. The other thing I want to mention, that is, if you are connected from your GoPro to your mobile phone device using the Gopro app, and you disconnect it on your mobile phone, but double check, make sure it also disconnected on your GoPro, because I found a lot of times that it will not disconnect itself. You have to go in and disconnect it here as well. It's a separate entity. Sometimes it disconnected, sometimes it did not. I don't have a reason for that. I'm just bringing it about to help preserve your battery life. Speaking of battery life, what are some of the ways that you can preserve your battery? Well, I've showed you one of them. You can go in and you can turn off your voice command there. You can turn off the lock screen there. Make sure you go in, turn off your Wi-Fi if you're not using it, and your GPS. Why do you need GPS? I don't know. GPS will also drain your battery life. You might want to turn that off unless you want to be found. Turn down, you can go in, you can turn down the brightness of your screen just like you can in your mobile phone device, even turning it down to like 20 or 30%. You can also go in, set your power off mode, go into your camera, there's a power off section there. You can set it to shut your camera off after a specific time. Use quick shots. That's a feature in the camera. You can use quick shots. Basically what that is you're setting a timer. So every time you hit the record capture button, it'll shoot for 15, 30 seconds, however many seconds you set it for, and then it'll shut off. Like sometimes you might notice if you're doing a slow pan from left to right or right to left, and you put it in the video editor, you might see it jump. There might be some glitches on your video. It might be, I call it herky-jerky, or eliminating that herky-jerky jumping while panning by doubling your shutter speed. Okay, so after all of that, we're back out here in a low light environment. So anyway, I had set my camera, because of the low light, to 1600 ISO minimum as well as 1600 ISO maximum to try to adjust for the lighting out here. I do have a house light on out here, but it may not be enough. I'll also try to do a little lighting of it in the video editor. But anyway, as you have learned, there are many things about the GoPro Hero 7 Action Black that I actually do not like, but there are a lot of things that I do like about it. When I first started out, I absolutely hated the camera. I had buyer's remorse. Do a lot of research. Think about what it is that you want to use the camera for. Find out if it will meet your needs. So, the bottom line, do I feel as though now, 1 year removed from having purchased the camera and those early hate feelings that I had, do I now feel though as though the GoPro Hero 7 is worth the amount of money that you'll pay for it? Yes, I do. It's an amazing camera. The stabilization, the hyper smooth, The time warp just in of itself goes unmatched. It's an unbelievable camera in terms of offering that. But in my opinion, I do favor the 7 over the 8. For those of you who have a GoPro Hero 8 and have also owned the 7, I would love to hear from you. I would love to know what you think about the 7 and the 8, and you can drop it down in the comment section. Again, this was not a tutorial. It wasn't a video to try to talk you into buying a GoPro or try to talk you out of buying one. I'm just sharing my likes and dislikes with you, so you know what the experiences that I went through with this camera. So anyway, thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you on the next Philippines On Demand segment. Bye, everybody.